Welcome to Extropy on Air, the podcast from Extropy Advisors, where we dive into the world of AI, digital transformation, and the future of business. Each episode will bring you perspective from leaders, innovators, and experts across industries, all focused on helping organizations and, more importantly, people thrive in a changing world. Let's get started.
Welcome to Extropy on Air. My name is Mike Jasper, and I'm a director for digital transformation here at Extropy. Today, I'm joined with Ravit Gutman, our CEO.
Oh, great to be here as well.
Today, we're talking about our experience at IOFM. Ravit and I were both on site last week in Las Vegas. It was a whirlwind of a week, and we're here to share some of the insights and trends that we heard throughout the week. Ravit, what was the thing that you found most impactful on site?
First of all, Mike, great to see you again. And let's start with that. It was great to be with you on site on IOFM and happy to talk about what we've seen there. But I feel that if in the IOFM that we've seen before, we've seen a lot of companies that are looking for those solutions that will allow them to go through that first phase of transformation. We've seen this time more mature audience that at least went through one type of transformation or another and trying to figure out what would the next phase look like. Also, we've heard of some implementations potentially that didn't hit the way they were hoping for, trying to figure out what are some of the latest and greatest solutions that exist out there to see if they're missing out on anything. Of course, everyone with their FOMOs these days, making sure that they have chosen those right solutions or if there's anything they need to add to their existing ecosystem as well. It's been interesting for the past 5 years seeing how IOFM has changed, even though a lot of the participants we're seeing coming year over year, just making sure that they're continuously investing in their skills, in their team skills, and to continuously evolve with all the technology that they're being handed with these days.
You know, I think that one of the things you brought up there, how do they keep on evolving? I found that to be especially impactful last week. A lot of the conversations I had wasn't around necessarily the full core transformation like we're used to. It wasn't a procure to pay system. It wasn't AP automation. It was organizations who had done a lot in those areas, and now they're looking to fill in the gaps around some of that, how they optimize integrations, how they optimize their payment process. I think you and I both had some really interesting conversations around that.
Yes, and that's also where it opened a whole new set of possibilities for new vendors as well, where we saw companies that are doing reconciliation, like payments recovery, international payments. We're seeing more and more different type of solutions that are really coming up on the gaps that exist between those large purchase to pay, order to cash type of solutions. It was great to see that there's new technologies that are coming up. And definitely, I agree with you. They came to see what else can they solve now that they've solved that problem. So if something that we saw a few years back is trying to capture as much as possible, we do see more people are trying to focus on their ecosystem and how this can speak to another system, how I can really solve my overall problems under my CFO office.
Yeah, that's a good point. I had a lot of conversations. I've been to a lot of these shows as well. In the past, I heard a lot of, I'm collecting information and bringing it back to my team to evaluate X. I felt like this year there was a lot more of, I'm trying to learn about something new. That was something I've seen that as a bit of a departure of what I've seen at IOFM in the past, where it wasn't necessarily solution specific. It was more results oriented is what they were looking at.
I'm going to head back to that FOMO. What am I missing? It's exactly. And it's what our other people are doing. I think that hunger to listen to those success stories or what other companies are doing, where they're really looking to hear from their peers on how to approach there are different pain points that exist in organizations. I think that's one of the things as well that we, in our own sessions, we try to touch is the aftermath that exists after those transformation projects, regardless if they were successful or not, but understanding how does life look after you're going through a finance transformation. And I think that's where a lot of the crowd is hungry, thirsty for that type of information and not just understanding what is the difference between those type of solutions, but how did, again, my peers, people that have the same ERP as me, people from the same industry as me are going to solve these type of problems, or what am I not thinking about? What am I missing? What should I think about as the next phase of that post-implementation.
Absolutely. And to build on that a bit, IOFM did their leadership track. I thought that was interesting. That's something that didn't always exist. Obviously, you had 3 sessions in that. You did amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I saw more and more people coming to those sessions to learn not about 1099 reporting or how to use Excel more effectively, but how do I start or how do I continue my journey to becoming a leader in my company and a leader in finance? Like I said, your sessions, I think, impacted several people there around those topics. What were your thoughts on the leadership track?
So first of all, it was very exciting to see that IOFM understood that gap exists because, okay, I automated, and now what? The reality is that 43% of those transformation projects are not hitting the marks that they were looking to do because of not investing in people, not investing at our own leadership in those finance department to understand how they can get the true benefits from these type of systems. And one of the things that was very exciting to ask the room, how many people have implemented something in the past year but their team are not using it how they're supposed to be using it? Same issue that we had with so many IT departments, even in the past, where we saw IT continuously implement different type of solutions, but essentially these solutions are just not being used, or tools that are not being used within those organizations. And there's, again, it was great to see, first of all, that there is a focus to solve that specific problem. Of course, it was very exciting for me to come and lead these type of sessions, as we're so excited about speaking about the people aspect of this. Even for our own presentation, like if shifting from, even for myself, presenting in IOFM for so many years and talking continuously how it has to be holistic between people and process and technology, we have shifted even with our own messaging when we have passed that technology state. Technology is here. This is all about that people, process, and purpose for people to understand the why. Why are we making these type of changes? How is this system is going to impact me individually? How is it going to impact my role? How can I grow in my role with this new type of solutions? And what has happened is that it is open such an exciting phase for finance, be the forefront of all of this AI revolution, to open a whole new set of roles and create a new set of impacts within these organizations. And no one is talking about that and trying to make that exciting. It still is to, okay, we're going to make things more efficient, instead of talking about how are we going to transform the entire finance office and actually bring more value to the organization.
Yeah, that resonated a lot. I think after your session, we had several people coming up and talking about how they put pieces together. If we think back to when OCR was coming onto the stage, I would sit in rooms with people and they would say, this is going to take my job. The reality is, no, it's not taking your job. It's taking the tactical, mundane work out of what you do and giving you more time to be strategic. And I think that's exactly what we've seen with AI. And that's what we covered a lot of the conversations we had last week on site was around how can AP get more strategic? How can they partner better with IT and with procurement and with finance and supply chain? And I think even your session around the changing roles within the organization through digital transformation, I think a lot of people came into that thinking, okay, I'm going to see a new RACI. What title should I have? And you really went beyond that. It was, how do we think about our people differently? I really liked what you discussed there. You want to share a little bit of that?
Absolutely. For so many years, accounts payable, more than anything, has just been in that processor role. And even though it was never about how many invoices you're processing per person, that was the topics that we talked about, how efficient we are at processing. And we've always looked at all of our AP processors. I think in the past, if I'm going to say those that have started their transformation, I would say in about a year or two ago, they're moving to the analyzers, moving to a more customer support role within the organization, assisting to analyze a lot of the data that is coming from the system. Because that's one of the things that we don't talk about. We bring these amazing systems and implement them in our customers that are now giving us so much data. Because at the end of the day, AP is the keys to the kingdom of the entire spend of the organization. And all of a sudden, if we thought even in the past that procurement has all the information, if we put everything on a PO, that's how we're going to have all that data. AP became that owner of that information, but no one actually provided guidance on how to actually start carving that data and make it more strategic. So those teams that are a little bit more, I want to say, ahead of the curve, we definitely see analyzers more. But this is what's exciting. Those teams that are becoming those strategic catalysts to the organization and team up with different type of departments within the organization to be that person, that analyst that provides them all that information and insight. And that is where that transitioned is from being someone that keys in information. These roles are becoming someone that impact the decision making within these type of companies. And that's what makes it exciting for those teams that we see that are more mature, that they're understanding that now that they have more time, that they're not stuck with these type of mundane tasks. They're actually able to think, they're actually able to contribute, and they can control their own destiny and how and what they're going to do with that data and how they're going to impact strategic decision within their organizations.
I remember very distinctly sitting in your session and you started talking about how AP can partner with marketing and they can partner with sales, they can partner with manufacturing or plant operations. And I saw people's minds get blown right in front of me, thinking about the future of what AP could be beyond just that processor. And you could look around the room and see who is living that processor day to day, who's starting to get it and who's starting to do that next bridge. I think there's some really interesting conversations that happened after that.
100%. We already are seeing how companies that have just implemented and again have been through the first set are starting to talk to, hey, how can we automate this specific invoices? How we can receive the invoices differently. So those are the discussions that we've seen already. But now being that team that actually provides the data for that is, I don't think that it's something that they understood that they can get to as well. And providing some use cases and success stories from our customers has been very impactful for them, because so many times we're stuck in the dialogue of, okay, AI, as we said, it's going to come take my job, or what am I going to do now that we're going to automate all these different things? And it's so important to provide these type of tool sets for these leaders that are coming to these type of conferences, these AP managers, so they can start making it exciting again for their team. So getting the feedback that we got after these sessions, I'm so excited to hear back from some of these people and hear how the conversation went within their teams and really talk about where they can actually take their roles through that. So
you brought up AI again. Obviously, it's been a buzzword for a while. We've heard it a lot. Like, if I got a nickel for every time I heard that phrase, IOFM, I'd be a very rich person right now. But I think you did a good job of explaining the uses of it, not from a tactical standpoint, but where does AI fit within our strategy? You know, there's the logic side, there's the trust, and there's the actual data processing. I saw a lot of people resonate with that, and I feel like a lot of them were trying to figure out what the role of AI is in their organization. I feel like they've been told I need to find more places to use AI, but they're really not sure what to use it for. I think that the discussion you had around the logic and the trust and the data and the reasoning was really impactful. Can you share a little bit of that?
Yes. I think what's important is to how we are going to speak about AI, because everyone are, as you said, AI is the biggest buzzword that exists right now. And everyone, again, thinks that AI is going to take their job. But AI is transforming finance completely. It's one of the departments that AI can assist with so much. It's not about replacing us. It's about redefining us. AI can definitely assist with so many things. And I'm not even going to say the mundane tasks, but with flagging anomalies and predict cash flows or cash flow strains, or even draft vendor emails, if we can think about it. But it can't build that trust and empathy and, more important, influence things. So for me, the future of finance is finding and communicating that right balance between human and digital together. Because technology will always handle the what, essentially. But us, we're always going to handle the why, interpreting and explaining that data. And when teams are starting to use that data and tell the story behind that, that is where those performance or high performing teams are setting that type of standards, because they can define what is that data means to me. That is where our role is completely changing within finance as more analyzers, catalysts, and to be able to be the one that communicates all that information that comes from AI to the organization.
You had a quote in one of your sessions, and I'm going to totally butcher it, but it was something along the lines of AI is not going to take our jobs. The people who know and can effectively use AI are going to take our jobs. And I thought that was really profound in the sense that we're not going to lose our jobs to a computer. We're going to lose our jobs to somebody who can effectively use that technology if we don't learn it ourselves.
That is correct. It's going to be up to the people that understand and build their team around that human and digital face. Because again, so many teams are right now stuck in that place of, okay, we're going to bring AI, and CFOs are looking to push more and more AI as part of their goals for each year. But it's those teams that would understand how to shift those roles quickly, how to build essentially a whole process flow between the information that is coming from the AI together with how we're taking that data and leveraging it to the organization. That is gonna be those high performing teams, the difference between those that are gonna take it to the next steps and others.
I think we've talked a lot about some of the sessions and some of the conversations we've had around those sessions. Are there any other trends or any other key topics you heard last week in Las Vegas that you want to share?
It's interesting right now is how fast we are seeing more solutions coming out in the market. That is something that is putting those vendors that we have been seeing probably for a while out there on edge. Because we are seeing solutions that were built 18 months ago already on these floors, coming with the latest and greatest, and just looking for that one customer to believe in them and take that to the next step in the journey. It has changed a lot. The other thing that was very, very surprising to me in that IOFM session was how we are actually going backwards to more companies building their own solutions. If we're looking in the past, we were everyone were trying to build their own type of homegrown solutions. Then we've transitioned to the SaaS world of buying these type of applications. I was very surprised to see how some of those more mature teams are looking to build their own AI solutions or utility tools to assist with some of those gaps. And that's where it's very exciting for companies like us and Extropy as well, that we're able to get into that space of assisting customers with those specific use case. Because one thing we know, every customer has its own story and its own uniqueness. That's what sets apart, and we saw on the floor already in IOFM as well, is some vendors that are focused on assisting to company just to build their own AI utility tools.
One of the trends that I was impressed with was the order to cash side. We've seen order to cash kind of come and go within IOFM. I remember when there was a whole separate track. AP was Monday, Tuesday, AR was Wednesday, Thursday, and to see them integrated, a lot of that has to do with the role of shared service within a lot of these organizations. AP is running AR as well. A lot of times you have that sort of centralized management, and seeing the AR vendors on the floor, the Eskers, the high radiuses, there was a lot out there and a lot of good content for order to cash as well. I think that that's an area that we're seeing more traction within the IOFM community than I've ever seen before. That's another area ripe for digital transformation, across the board.
I agree. It was very smart and refreshing to see that IOFM is looking at finance transformation space as a whole. And not gearing it specifically from the accounts payable side. A lot of this is coming from the people that are joining these type of sessions, because you were right. A lot of these teams are essentially successful transformation that occurred in that purchase to pay space. And because of that success, they're now being tasked for the same for that order to cash space as well. It was so great to see some of our amazing partners shining in this conference and seeing their sessions and how much interest existed for order to cash in this in this conference. So.
I think the other thing I saw a lot of was the payment optimization. That's an area where a lot of these organizations, we've seen the same people at the conferences year over year, continuously improving. And the prevalence of payment automation at the conference spoke to the fact that a lot of these organizations are making gains year over year, and they're getting to the point where they can leverage that optimization they built and those efficiencies to affect that payment and start saving money and creating a cash funnel for the organization. I've had a lot of conversations with Bottom Line, and they've done some amazing things with a lot of those different use cases. I thought it was interesting to see, there was a full payments panel where all the providers got up there and talked through, strategy together. It just sort of speaks to the fact that, payment automation and payment optimization is becoming another one of those trends that we saw.
Yes, if payment automation used to be something in the back end because the bank used to hold I'm going to say most of the power, we definitely see the shift. I can tell you more than that. We saw that on the floor of IOFM because I remember years back, we would see Wells Fargo there. We'll see JP Morgan. We'll see more banks vendors. And actually now it's really all fintech companies for payment automation. It's understanding the leveraging of those type of companies instead of our banks that we're using, which essentially provides us much more flexibility in our negotiation with our banks and being able to shift from different banks. That was something that for many years, we were working with a lot of customers trying to explain them how a good payment automation strategy can impact not just cash flow, but this entire finance transformation as a whole, and even all the way to the point of subsidizing your entire finance transformation journey. It's always been that struggle of explaining of how would this work with my bank, or all of my payments are going through the bank, or how does the ACH world look like? Which for me is one of the things why I'm so excited about Bottom Line for us as a partner, because they answer something on the ACH that no one else does. And we see that in that panel as well. If, like I said, it used to be something that the banks were part of that panel as well, because they were trying to play the game of where the future is going with payment automation, and they're no longer there. So it's definitely amazing to see where the payment world is going.
Yeah, in my experience, I've done a lot of work through the Business Payments Coalition and the Faster Payments Coalition. In those, we have a lot of banks, a lot of financial institutions, and a lot of technology and system solutions out there. When you get into conversations about, real-time ACH, same-day ACH, you get into ISO 20022, all these different payment vehicles, people's eyes start to glass over. They want something simple and they want it effective. They want the gains without having to get their financial license and become a broker almost themselves. So that's what I'm starting to see in IOFM is a lot of that being simplified and boiled down to what the customer needs, and all the rest of it's on the back end, and all the technology's there, all the details are there. But for the finance team, they need to know what they're going to get out of it, and work through the strategy versus the technology. All right, so I think we've done a good job covering all of it. We've missed some of the fun things. So with any good trade show, there's an exhibit floor. I want to know, what was your favorite giveaway that somebody was giving away?
I'm always a fan for socks. Wherever I get the socks, it's fine. Just for my husband. My husband, every conference is waiting to receive those socks. I will always go for the socks. What about you?
You stole mine. I think I came home with 3 new pairs. So
You see?
You don't need.
Maybe it's my guilt of leaving my husband with 3 kids, but I feel like I need to give him more presents than my kids as an award.
It's the journey too. I mean, I remember back in the day, it was all about the toys. You get the little light up ball or the Frisbee or the little something you bring home to your kids. And I always thought that was genius, because if it's got the company logo on it, it ends up floating around the house for months. And you see that logo in every room in your house while the kid's trying to put it away or play with it. But I didn't see as much of that this year. I saw some.
That was exactly what I was about to say. It used to be exactly that. I used to take a bag and I put space of getting exciting things for my kids. And I'm going to say the only thing that I would have seen that maybe was exciting was those light up glasses. And
Yes.
That's it. So it used to cater more to getting those fun stuff for the kids. And I don't see that as much. But definitely, I do want to say kudos to seeing some exciting new things, which was Bottom Line in their coffee station. I love that. So having a coffee station with the logo on it stamped on that cappuccino, that was iconic. So
Nothing against IOFM coffee, but it was definitely miles above.
definitely.
I got my dirty chai latte. It was perfect.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I stayed on the cappuccino.
Question for you. What was the best meal you had in Vegas? Because they're known for their food.
Yes. Wow. So by far our dinner at Gordon Ramsay. Wow, that was definitely fun to remember. I came back and I told my husband, it's like we need to go back there.
I have been watching Gordon Ramsay on TV for years and on Instagram, and watching the beef Wellingtons be made. I had to have one, and it did not disappoint. I let my wife know when I got back to the hotel. I'm a changed person. I need to learn how to cook this.
Yes, and I'm so grateful that you gave me a bite from that because I did not order that. But that's why I told my husband we have to go back and I have to have that beef Wellington because that was one of the best bites I had. But everything else was also great. So it was just an amazing dinner and amazing company that we had as well.
Absolutely. I gotta say, I'm a close tie between that and I got the chance to eat at Nobu. Had some amazing sushi. The two of those, I came home very, very full and very happy. So I know we both had red-eye flights home. Luckily, both made it home without too many delays, just a little lack of sleep. Ravit, I really appreciate you taking some time walking through this. For everybody out there who didn't go to IOFM, I highly recommend you look at it for next year. There's fall and spring shows. If you've been several times and your team hasn't, I recommend you find somebody on your team you want to elevate and recommend that they go attend that show. Ravit, any parting words?
Gonna echo what you said. It's great to see the IOFM community grows and seeing a lot of these managers bringing more and more of their team to getting certified. And this is such a gift to give to your team. Vegas very different than Orlando that we have in the spring, but I do know that next year it's going to be in Austin. Texas is always good as well, and we're going to be excited to be there next year in the fall. Thank you again, and looking forward to continuously helping everyone transform forward.
Thank you all for listening to this episode of Extropy on Air.
Thanks for listening to Extropy on Air. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode, and connect with us at Extropy Advisors to continue the conversation on AI and digital transformation. Until next time, I'm Kevin Zirkle, and this has been Extropy on Air.